وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. narrating the authority of Abu Huraira radiallahu ta'ala anhu عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, in a race from Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, قال أتاكم أهل اليمن, that the people of Yemen has come to you, هو أرق أفئدة, and the people of Yemen are very fine-hearted, وألين قلوبا, and they have very, very soft hearts. Al-Imanu Yamanin, and Iman Yamanin is from Yemen. Wal-Hikmatu Yamaniyatun, and wisdom, knowledge is also from Yemen. Wal-Fakhru Wal-Khuyala'u, and pride, arrogance, etc. Fi Ashabil Ibili, it is in the companions, the possessors of the camels. Sakinatu wal waqaru, and sakina, peace, tranquility. All fil waqari, wal waqaru fi ahli al ghanami, is in the possessors of livestock, in other words sheep and goats, right? So we done, remember, Babu Bad il Khalqi in the beginning, and we also done Babu Wafatin Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So this hadith was discussed several times there before. Araq come from Raqiq. Araq, say, Araqu afidatan. Araqu means Raqiq, soft. Shaqiq, fine. Latif means like fine, right? Afidatun is a jama of fu'adun. Afidatun is a jama of fu'adun. So they are fine hearts, they have soft hearts, right? Hikmat, what is intended by hikmat? It is knowledge. So we are saying that in previous times, in the time of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, this was the quality of the people of Yemen. They were wise, they were thoughtful, etc. Whether they still have that quality today or not, Allah Ta'ala knows best, but definitely in the time of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, they had this quality. As I told you, maybe there might still be some people that have that quality in today's day and age, but it was more relevant in the time of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Like I was telling you, this hadith speaks about random virtues of different people, different Sahaba Ikram, and this one here we done now is the virtue of the people of Yemen, the virtue of the people of Damascus, etc. One who also narrated the authority of Abu Huraira radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم said, رأس الكفر نحو المشرق, that the head of kufr is in where? In the east, right? Well, you got fakhru or fakharu. What you got in your kitab? Wal fakhru, and pride. Wal khuyala'u, pride, arrogance. Fi ahli al-khayli wal ibli, it is in the people of the horses, wal ibli, and the people of the camels. وَالْفَدَّادِينَ Faddadin, the people that shout loud, scream, Ahlil Wabari are the people of the fibers of the hair. Was Sakinatu fi Ahlil Ghanami, and peace is and calmness is in the people of the sheep and goats and the livestock. Tell me without explaining, what do you understand from the hadith? Tell me what can you understand. Try to work it out. I want to see what you if you can what you can work out from this hadith. What do you understand? Read your Asha, tell me, even the online people, they can tell us what they understand from this hadith. Anybody, anything, what can you say? What do you understand? The first part is pretty simple. The first, Ra'asul Kufri. That kufr, see, look, if you look at that, Ra'asul Kufri, Nahwal Mashriki. Mashriki is what? From the east, right? So if you look at where Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam he was in Medina, right? So the east will be the Ras means like the leader, the epicenter, etc. It will come from the east. And what is the places that are to the east of Madinatul Munawwara? It was Persia, Iran, it was the Roman Empire, etc. So, right. So the main opposition to Islam, the main kufr, etc., will come from the east. And obviously the Muslims had to contend with this here, right? And then also, some ulama mentioned, they say, Ya'juj and Ma'juj will also come from the east. And some ulama even go on further to say that Dajjal will also come from there, right? Then I tell you, Faddadin are people who are, now normally people who live in the countryside, who come from the villages, etc., they're allowed, the uncouth, etc. So he's saying the Faddadin, those who scream. Now, you know, if you go to the farm, you see how they scream behind the animals, how they scream at the animals, etc. So the people that, if you look there, Awal Faddadina, Ahlul Wabari, the people, right, that screams at the animals are the people of the camels. Wabar is referred to the fibers on a camel, right? Right? And people who live like in people who live in tents, etc., from camels, etc., etc., right? And then refer to that was Bedouins, people living in the countryside, etc., etc., right? Okay, read the next riwayat.
الأنصاري رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من ها هنا جاءت الفتنة نحو المشرق والجفاء والغلو تأدينا عند رسول أجناد
Okay, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وعن أبي مسعود الأنصاري narrating authority of Abu Mas'ud al-Ansari عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. He narrates from the Nabi. He says قال من ها هنا جاءت الفتن. From this direction your fitna will come. نحو المشرق. Mashriq is what? From the east, right? والجفاء and Jafa. والغلظ القلوب, hardness of the heart. في الفدادين. Now you got في الفدادين will be from those people يعني فدادين of the countryside, the people who love. What I told you what fadadain means? People of the camels, right? What I told you was fadadain. Loud? Huh? That's the ones who scream, etc. Right? Ahlul Wabari, the people of the fibers of the camels. In the usuli adnab al-ibli, at the usum, in the basis of the tails of the camels. Wal baqari, and the oxen. Fi rabi'ata wa mudar, in rabi'a and mudar. So this hadith is very similar to the previous hadith, that normally the people that live in the countrysides, they work with the camels, they work, like even, in our context, even if somebody's uncouth, somebody's unruly, etc., what will you say to that person? Hey, you come from the farm or what? You got no manners. A city dweller is normally a person that is more couth, etc., etc. So al-jafa'u, you check the meaning of jafa. What does jafa mean? People who are uncouth, people who don't have a lot of manners, etc. Ghilazul qulub, I tell you, they have hard hearts. So people who work with the animals all the time, loud, rough people, jafa, people who are distant, people who are emotionless, etc. Right? Ghilazul qulub, hard-hearted, right? Not educated, not dignified. Ghilazul qulub. I told you, this is the quality of those people who work the lands. This is the quality of the people who work the lands, and they work with the animals. And they maybe even, you can say, maybe gypsies, people who move from place to place, who live in tents, etc. Right? So they are uncouth. That is why even in the hadith you see, جاء أعرابي فقال يا محمد. A person from the countryside came and he said, "Oh Muhammad," etc., etc. So they are people who are uncouth, etc. People who work with the animals. So being behind the tails of the animals, what is meant by that? Like, when you're herding the animals, you're chasing the animals, then you drive the animals from the back, etc. Right? Okay, read the next riwayat. And this is all, if you look at all the riwayat, it refers to those people to love towards the east of Medina, right? غلظ القلوب. Right, subhanallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, narrated on the authority of Hazrat Jabir radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said that Rasulullah said, غلظ القلوب, hard-heartedness, wal-jafa'u, like I told you, uncouthness, غير مهذب, undignified people, fil mashriki, will be in the east, wal imanu fi ahli al-Hijazi, and iman will be Hijaz. Now, I did, in the beginning of the year, we did discuss this. If you look at the area of Makkah and Medina together, that forms Hijaz. And there was a diagram I showed you. I don't know, Yusuf, you might not have been here. I can't remember it myself. But the main thing is this here: Makkah and Medina together, jointly, it falls in Hijaz. What it falls in? Hijaz. And then to the east of it, where Riyadh is, this is called Najd, right? And to the south is Yemen, obviously, we know. So here Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is saying that Ghilahul Qulubi, hard-heartedness, wal-jafa'u, uncouthness, fil mashriki, is in the east, which is like what we can say, the Najd area, right? Wal-imanu fi ahli al-Hijasi, and iman, real iman is in Hijaz, which is, I tell you, Makkah, Medina, those places. I must find, inshallah, that diagram again and show you people, inshallah. We read the next riwayat. وعن ابن عمر عمز الوسط وعن ابن
عمر رضي الله عنهما قال قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم بارك لنا في شامنا اللهم بارك لنا في يمننا قالوا يا رسول الله في نجد.
So interesting hadith here. وعن ابن عمر, narrating the authority of Ibn Umar, قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Nabi said, اللهم بارك لنا في شامنا. Oh Allah Ta'ala, bless for us in Sham. Remember I told you before that Sham is not just for Syria, what we think is Syria today. Ne? This is the colonial borders. They wanted to take out of our minds the importance of Baitul Maqdis, etc., etc. So they call the area besides Masjid al-Aqsa Syria. But I told you yesterday, Sham is a much broader area. It has obviously Baitul Maqdis, Palestine, portions of Turkey, portions of Lebanon, portions of Jordan, etc., etc. So we know that Sham is a very, very blessed place. Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, Subhanalladhi asra bi'abdi lawil, Subhanalladhi أسرى بعبده حول من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى الذي باركنا حوله. So that whole area, right? باركنا حوله is blessed. So from the Quran we can see it is blessed. بارك لنا في شامنا اللهم بارك لنا في يمننا. Allah Ta'ala bless for us in Yemen. قالوا يا رسول الله. So they said, yes, وفي نجدنا. So the people want to give different explanations, but I told you the most correct explanation of Najd is to the east of Hijaz, to the east of Makkah and Medina. And this is what in today we say Riyadh, the capital of KSA, the capital of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is there. And if you look at it, the current rulership of Saudi Arabia, the current rulership, they live in this area. So you can make what you want of it, to think that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam predicted that there will be people in this area, people that will come from this area, and they will that people will come from this area and that they will cause strife. And if you look today, if you look at the Saud family, etc., they are from this area and they are calling strife. So قال اللهم بارك لنا في شامنا اللهم بارك لنا في يمننا. Allah Ta'ala bless for us in our Sham. اللهم بارك لنا في يمننا. Allah Ta'ala bless for us in our Yemen. قالوا يا رسول الله. They said, Ya Rasulullah, وفي نجدنا. What about Najd? You're not making dua for Najd. فأظنه قال في الثالثة. So then the Rawi, who is Ibn Umar, on the third request, only on the third request, he said, فأظن قال في الثالثة. Only on the third request he said, yes, okay, Allahumma barik la fi najina. Then he said, هنالك الزلازل والفتن وبها يطلع قرن الشيطان. He said, it is in that area that there will be earthquakes, والفتن, there will be different trials and terrible relations, وبها يطلع قرن الشيطان. And it is from here that the horns of shaitan will rise. Rawahu al-Bukhari, and Imam Bukhari narrates this particular riwayat. As far as the earthquakes are concerned, I'm not sure if this happened in the past. Maybe we need to check up in the 1400 years of Islamic history. But what I can tell you is today we know what you know, and you know, and I know what is happening in Saudi Arabia, right? We know that all these music festivals, these concerts, these Halloween parties, and all these funny things. Where is it happening? It is happening in Riyadh, in those areas. And what are those areas? That is Najd. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke about the fitna arising from where? From Najd. So to say that what we see happening today in these areas, these rave parties, concerts in the desert, etc., is a manifestation of the prediction of our beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's not very distant. It is very possible. It's not very possible. It is very real. It is very apt, right? Okay, read the next riwayat, inshallah. وبارك لنا في سائنا ومدنا وعوذ به. Right, let's look at the next slide. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وعن زيد بن ثابت قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Narrated the authority of Zayd ibn Thabit, and he said that Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم طوبى للشام, glad tidings for Syria. قلنا لأي ذلك, for what reason يا رسول الله؟ قال لأن ملائكة الرحمن باسطة أجنحتها عليها, because لأن ملائكة الرحمن, the angels of Rahman, باسطة, it spreads out أجنحتها عليها, it spreads out its wings on it, or in it rather. In other words, it is a blessed place where there is, angels the special creation of Allah Ta'ala, they bring mercy, etc. So same thing, this is reaffirmed, and it's G loud. Tashkib ala hadith. Okay, sorry. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وعن أنس عن زيد بن ثابت, narrated the authority of Anas, and he in turn narrates from Zayd bin Thabit أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم نظر قبل اليمن, once Nabi صلى الله عليه وسلم looked in the direction of Yemen, فقال, and he said, اللهم أقبل بقلوبهم, O Allah, أقبل, make them turn, أقبل بقلوبهم, make their hearts turn towards us, وبارك لنا في صائنا, and bless for us in our sa'a, وفي مدنا, and sa'a is also like a type of measurement that normally is by volume, ومدنا, and bless for us in our weight also. So you can see Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam recognized the worth of the people of Yemen, and he made dua that Allah Ta'ala made them advance and they come towards Islam, right? So, like I told you, some ulama say that this referred to the people that lived in the time of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and doesn't mean he's forever. And if there are people that still have these qualities now currently that are in Yemen, then this is applicable to them as well. And the reason why they maybe qualify this for this is because I told you there is certain, normally initially you had a Zaydiyya Shia. We discussed what was a Zaydiyya Shia in Aqidat al-Tahawiyah. They were in Yemen. But in recent history, it seems that because they are getting a lot of political and financial support from the Isna Ashariya, that is the Ghali Shia, they seem to be gravitating in their direction. They seem to be. So if they are indeed gravitating towards Shiism and the extreme form of Shiism, etc., then we say that this hadith doesn't apply to them anymore. It applies to those, the genuine ones that were in the time of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. All right, read the next hadith. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وعن زيد بن ثابت, narrated by زيد بن ثابت, قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم طوبى للشام, glad tidings for Sham. قُلْ لِأَيِّ ذَلِكَ. He said, for what reason, Ya Allah Ta'ala? Ya Rasul قال لأن ملائكة الرحمن باسطة أجنحتها عليها, because the angels of Rahman باسطة, it spreads out أجنحتها, it spreads out its angels, right? Sorry, it spreads out its wings on this lands, right? So the angels spreading out in wings, it could be literally, it could be figuratively, whatever, whichever way you look at it. But the main thing is, it points towards virtue, it points towards mercy. So we see these are blessed lands. الذي باركنا حوله لنريه. And also from, remember we done Babu Ashrati Sa'a, the signs of the final hour, etc., etc. There it shows that a lot will happen. A lot will happen closer unto Qiyamah. Important events will unfold there. And that is why perhaps it is such a hot spot today. You see so much happening there. You see the West putting so much attention there, etc., etc., right? Read the next one. Because Nabi Sallallahu already predicted it's a place where a lot of things will happen, right?
وقال خير رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم تخرج النار من البحر حذر الموت
من حضر موت
حذر الموت تحشر الناس
تحشر الناس.
تحشر الناس. قلنا يا رسول الله وما تحشرنا؟ قال عليكم بالشام أو في المدينة.
Right. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وعن عبد الله بن عمر قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ستخرج نار من نحو حضرموت, that a fire will emerge from Hadramaut. Hadramaut is an ancient historical city that was in Yemen, and today still it's a place called Hadramaut, right? Right. So min nahwi Hadramaut, from the direction of Hadramaut, or min Hadramaut, or it will come from Hadramaut. تحشر الناس, to gather the people. قل يا رسول الله فما تأمرنا, what do you advise us when this happens? قال عليكم بالشام, you hold firm onto Sham. So now here, remember we done in the chapter on Asharat al-Sa'a, the signs of Qiyamah, etc., etc. They said before Qiyamah there's a fire that will drive the people towards the mahshar. And said taqulu haythu taqulu, etc. You know, it will rest where the people will rest, etc. Certain people will go comfortably, certain people, etc. Remember that hadith? You remember that hadith? Now, I'm not sure if this refers to that. Yeah, the Sharih never, maybe we should check up a bit more. I'm not sure if the Sharih is referring to that incident there or is referring to something else. But anyway, the most relevant thing here is that, remember, if you look at the heading, we're speaking about the virtue of what? We're speaking about the virtue of Sham. So that you can see that when there's problems in the rest of the world, you should hasten towards Sham. You should go to Sham. These are the places, the blessed places. These are the protected places. And this is also one of the reasons why when the call of jihad, etc., etc., how much you want? When the call for jihad, etc., was made, you know, whether it was a legitimate call, it was an illegitimate call, or whatever, people hastened towards Sham. People went there. There were the ISIS debacle, etc. Because in light of the hadith, it is a hotspot. It is a place where things will happen, especially close to Qiyamah, where a lot of things will happen. Right? Carry on.
رضي الله عنه وقال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إنها ستكون حجرة بعد هجرة.
Yeah. إنها ستكون حجرة بعد حجرة. So what do you understand by that? وعن عبد الله بن عمر, narrating authority of Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, he says, سمعت أهد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم saying, إنها ستكون حجرة بعد حجرة. Will G. Yeah, you know, what do you understand by this? Tell me what you understand by this. From Sham to Medina. What do you understand by this here, Luqman? Maybe the online people, if they know, they can tell us. ستكون حجرة بعد هجرة. Right. One is the hijrat of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and one is the hijrat of the Sahaba Ikram, which was a very, very great sacrifice. Let's tell you that when you categorizing the different Sahaba, their status, etc., hijrat is one of the categories, one of the statuses, the stages by which you categorize, like how you get a Badri Sahabi, you get a Uhud Sahabi, etc., etc. Those who make hijrat also, that's a special accolade for them as well, right? So what Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is saying that after that hijrat, that major hijrat, there will be another hijrat also. A very, there were maybe several other hijrats, but another significant and great hijrat, ستكون حجرة بعد هجرة, after that hijrat, right? So, فخيار الناس إلى مهاجر إبراهيم. In the Thulathi Mazid fee, that the Ismul Maf'ul is used as a zarf, right? So he's saying, فخيار الناس, the best people, إلى مهاجر إبراهيم, are those people who will make hijrat to the place which Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam made hijrat to, right? وفي رواية, in another riwayat, فخيار الأهري, and the best people of the earth, alzamuhum muhajaru alzamuhum muhajaru Ibrahim, are those people that will hold firm the place of hijrat of Ibrahim alayhi salam, right? وَيَبْقَى فِي الْأَرْضِ شِرَارُ أَهْلِهَا, and it will remain on the earth شِرَارُ أَهْلِهَا, the worst of the people, right? So the best people will all move, they will gravitate, they will make hijrah towards Sham, right? تلفظهم أرضوهم, right? تقذيرهم, the تلفظهم, their lands will expel them, right? And تقذيرهم, نفس الله, right? So their lands will, yeah. So the lands will expel them, and وتقذيرهم نفس الله, Allah Ta'ala's earth will consider them to be filth. تحشرهم النار, and the fire will drive them. مع القردة, what is قردة? What apes, right? وَالْخَنَازِيرِ, and swines. تَبِيتُ مَعَهُمْ إِذَا بَاتُوا, it will spend the night with them where they will spend the night. وَتَقِيلُ مَعَهُمْ إِذَا قَالُوا, and it will rest with them where they will rest. So this hadith here, I tell you, it is similar to the other hadiths we discussed. And I think it refers to, I told you that close to Qiyamah, when people will be driven towards the mahshar. Remember that we done this in detail in the chapter of Ashratus Sa'a, right? That the fire will take them, those people who had lived a good life, a pious life, etc., etc. Then they will go comfortably. Those people who never live a very pious life, they will go very uncomfortably. تلفظهم, look at that word there, right? ويبقى في الأرض شرار أهلها تلفظهم أرضوهم, تلفظهم أرضوهم. So لفظ يلفظ تلفظ, this comes from the sigh of ضرب يضرب, loves. So loves refer to something that comes out, like comes out of your mouth, that is spewed out of your mouth. So it's like to drive something. أرضوهم is a jama of أرض. أرضوهم is a jama. أرض أرضوهم. So what it means is the earth will not give them a place to live, but rather it will drive them. تقذيرهم come from سمع يسمع. So قذر يقذر, we know this word قذارة, to consider something dirty, to consider something filthy. So the earth will consider them filthy. قباحة, نفس. So this nafsullah is a file of taqdiru. So we know that Allah Ta'ala doesn't have a nafs, and we know Allah Ta'ala doesn't have body parts, etc. So you can say these are like from the ayate mutashabihat. They are from the ayate mutashabihat. So what it means is Allah Ta'ala will not like them. Allah Ta'ala will dislike them. So what does hadith means here? Yeah, what he's saying, what does hadith means that very soon there will be battles between haq and batil. And there will be hijras also. And the good people are those people that will make hijrat towards Sham, the same place where Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam made hijrat. Remember Ibrahim alayhi salam, he left Iraq and he made hijrat towards Sham. So all the best people, they will make hijrat towards Sham, and the worst people, they will be the ones that will remain where? They will remain on the rest of the world. Those people that will not make hijrat for haqq, and neither will they stand up for the truth, and neither will they make jihad with the people. In other words, they will remain in the rest of the world disgraced, and they will be qadara yaqdiru, thrown around like filth, and Allah Ta'ala will dislike them, and then a fire will come. And as I said, the fire will come, and then the kuffar that will be like khanazir and qiradatan. It will affect them. Right? Then this Bataya beat, I told you, to spend the night, right? Qala yaqilu, to rest, right? So what this means here, with the fitna, there will always be a fire with the fitna. Whether it is nighttime or daytime, the fitna will always be with them. And when these munafiq people will adopt the character of the kuffar, then these people will become involved in this fitna. And they will think the fitna is in their country. It is not from outside. But in the meantime, the fitna will be with them all the time. So what is meant here by kiradata and khanazir, etc., refers to the kuffar. Or maybe it could even refer to literal meaning, but generally it refers to the kuffar. Okay, time is out. We'll stop there. We'll continue with the tafsir. What are we doing today? The English or the Arabic? See? Arabic. Okay, open there. Bismillah. See? We stop with the English.